thank you to everyone that has been able to join us on this session where we are going to talk about Chevening Applications and how we are going to walk you through. I just want to introduce myself without any further waste of time because I can see it's 12:35. We wanted to start 5 minutes earlier. But we'd like to welcome everyone on Facebook who is watching us live and those that will come in later. My name is Pinky Manomokwena. I currently work for a project called Partners for Prevention of Violence Against Women and Girls in Southern Africa, supporting the Ministry of Gender. For the purposes of this live stream, I will talk about Chevening in particular. I am a 2017-2018 alumni of the Chevening Scholarship, and I studied at the University of Bath in England. I studied a master's in international development. So my co-host, Jemina, will introduce herself and then we can take it from here.
Okay, thank you, and good day to all who are watching. My name is Jemina Hosi. I am also a 2017-2018 Chevening Scholar. I was at the University of Greenwich in London, and my program of study was MSc in Sustainable Environmental Management.
Thank you so much. Sorry, can I please turn this off? I don't know why it's making such noise. Okay. So I think we should go ahead. We decided to do this session to talk about Chevening application for everyone who's interested in applying for the year 2021-2022. The academic year will be starting next year, but officially Chevening applications are going to open on the 3rd of September 2020. So we thought we should help out Basotho, many others who are interested in the scholarship. And I will start by saying who can apply for this scholarship. The scholarship is usually open to a lot of countries, so to say. I think I would like to say Commonwealth countries, if you are from Lesotho, South Africa, really Swaziland in the south, and other African countries, including South America. It's mostly open to such countries. It's a Commonwealth scholarship. So I think it's safe to say it's open to so many other countries. But we would like to say they call it a leadership scholarship. So if you think you are an emerging leader, you are ambitious, this master scholarship is open for you. And maybe just to clarify, I will be talking about the eligibility criteria, and I'll also be touching a bit on applying for schools. And then Jemina will come in to talk about another two components of the scholarship. So let's move right along to eligibility criteria. I think the first one that I've just mentioned is that your country should be eligible for the Chevening scholarship. That's the first one. And then secondly, you must be someone who is willing to come back in your country for at least 2 years. I think this one Chevening stresses a lot on their website. You should be in a position to know that when you go to the UK for the 1-year masters, you are able to come back. And the third criteria is that you must have completed a 4-year undergraduate university degree. So I'm going to explain this in terms of Lesotho and South Africa. I'm going to say if you are from Lesotho, you must have graduated with a 4-year degree, usually at the National University of Lesotho, or a 5-year bachelor's degree. And if you are from South Africa, you should have completed an honors degree, which is a 4-year degree. This has to be very clear because I know I've gotten questions from people from Lerotoli Polytechnic and then Lincoln Queen. I think you need to have a further study for you to be accepted for Chevening. If you did not study at the National University of Lesotho, it has to be a bachelor's degree. And then another eligibility criteria, you should have at least, they say a minimum of at least 2 years experience. This is professional experience, including all your volunteer works and all the part-time jobs that you've held and all permanent jobs you've held. But I'd like to say on this one, there's usually where they calculate online, even if you don't have that 2 years professional experience, they'd like to calculate everything that has to do with your volunteer work. They have shown it on the website that this is the number of hours you should have completed if you are not holding a full-time 2 years experience. Jemina will come in other things that need to be clarified further. But for this one, it has to be that 2 years experience and then higher. Another important thing is that when you apply for the scholarship, you have to identify 3 universities that you want to apply for in the UK. The nicest thing that I like about this scholarship is that you choose a master's of your choice. They did not discriminate against the type of course that you're supposed to do. That is why we say it is open for all courses, as long as that course is available at a UK university and that university is a Chevening partner. You can be able to apply for that course. And I like it because the UK has various universities and they have a variety of courses where you can choose from. I've seen people ranging from studying education to science courses. I studied social sciences, but there are people who can also study in the arts, because I know some people get worried that usually our countries do not have scholarships that are open for people in the creative arts. But I'm happy to tell you that with Chevening, you can study any course of your choice, as long as it's a master's and it's 1 year in the UK. So they do say after choosing those 3 universities and the courses, you must have been able to secure what we call an unconditional offer to be selected. But they give you up to the following year in July. And for this year, I have noted by the 15th of July, 2021, you should have secured an unconditional offer. I will explain what's an unconditional offer. When you apply for a university in the UK, they will ask you to submit all other requirements, and then they give you what they call a conditional offer. They will have their conditions. Either they will want you to send an English test, which is usually called in our region TOEFL, IELTS, PTE. And then after writing that English test, you will get your results. If the university required you to write that English test, when you send it back to the university and you qualify and you have met all the university requirements, they send back what is called an unconditional offer. So this is the unconditional offer that Chevening speaks about when they say by July the following year, which is in this case 2021, the 15th of July, you should have secured that unconditional offer. So this is another requirement that is required. You should have met that English test offer and have the unconditional offer for you to be eligible for Chevening if you move further to interviews. I think this is all from eligibility. Jemina, did I leave anything out that you'd like to add? I think you are muted.
At the moment, I think you've covered all the points regarding eligibility, but if there's anything that will come to mind before the close of session, I will point it out.
I think that's all we have from the points of the eligibility that is needed for you to be accepted for a Chevening scholarship. And if we are having any questions that I can't see on my side from Facebook, do just let me know by typing, and then we'll attempt to them at a later stage. I think I was going to talk about other requirements. Mejemina, let me see from my program here. I think for now, because I've already explained the English test one, which is the most important one, I've really covered the one. But the other important thing that is needed is that you will be asked to provide references. And I think the references is about 2. They need 2 references. Yes, they need 2 references. So what usually happens, they will ask you to provide the names and contact details. Usually they need the position title of the person that will be your reference or referee, and then they'll require where they work and their email address. They will contact that individual on a personal level. They send them the link for them to send you those, to send them those 2 references, but by the time that is specified. So if you mention 2 people in your applications who are going to be your referees, it is your responsibility as an applicant to follow up that they send Chevening those references by the time they are needed. I'm sorry to say, if you do not follow up, it means Chevening will not accept you because they wouldn't have received those references. I know there's a case where someone told me they were not accepted because the referee forgot to send their references. So just to say, because this is important, do follow up on your referees to send to Chevening by the time that is specified. So I see there's a question here that talks about, in terms of qualifications, what's the take on CA Lesotho, to be precise? Okay. And then the age restriction. Okay, I'll start with the age. Chevening does not have any age restriction. I'm happy to say this. I've seen people have asked, am I too old to apply for Chevening? No, you are not too old to apply for Chevening. If you are 38, if you are 40, you can apply for Chevening. They don't have any age restrictions. And then for this one that has to do people who have studied accounting at the Center for Accounting Studies. This is a difficult one. I've never really thought of this. What's your take, Jemina? I'm not too sure. I know that there are people who study accounting and go further to do their masters in the UK after a 4 or 5 year degree. I think I will have to do a research on this one, and I will post it on my Facebook and answer anyone who asks this question. I don't have an answer for now, but I will get back to the Chevening officer in Pretoria, and then I will let you know about this one. Thank you. This is all from my side. Major Mina is gonna go ahead and talk about the application process in itself, the writing of essays, and then she'll also touch on, yes, I think a bit of applying for schools, and then at the end we'll cover the general tips for applying.
Okay, thank you very much, Pinky. I'm basically just going to take you through the process, the application process for a Chevening scholarship. And the most important thing before I even start is, at this point, when you decide that you want to apply for a Chevening scholarship, you must have identified those 3 courses that Pinky talked about, which you wish to study in the UK. That means you will have identified what courses you want to do and what universities you want to go to, because they will be part of your whole application. So for you to apply, you just need to go to the Chevening website, www.chevening.org/apply, and then you'll be requested to select your country to see if it's eligible for a Chevening scholarship, and also what you wish to apply for, because there's a Chevening scholarship and there's also a Chevening fellowship. So in this case, we'll be focusing on the scholarship. Then you'll be required on the website to create a profile, your own profile, that you can go back to each time you need to visit your application, wherein you'll be required to fill in all your information, your contact details, basically everything about you. And then the next step will be for you to answer some eligibility questions that will appear once you have created your profile, which will basically be things like, do you want to study in the UK? Is your country eligible for Chevening? Do you have a degree as stipulated earlier by Pinky? Do you also wish to return to your country after 2 years? Do you have work experience? Just to determine whether you're eligible or not for the scholarship. Then if you have ticked all the answers, all the questions, and it appears that you are fully eligible to apply for the Chevening scholarship, then you'll be required to answer essay questions as part of your application. And in terms of the essays, there are 4 main questions that you'll be required to answer. The first question that you'll be required to answer is a question on leadership, where Chevening wants to know your potential as a leader. And at this point, you'll also be asked to write your essay and give examples. And my advice always is use what is called STAR when you answer these questions, these essay questions. STAR, S-T-A-R. S, situation, which is where you describe a certain situation. That's when you're giving your example. And then T is task. What was supposed to be done in that particular situation that you're referring to? And then 3, which is A, action. What did you do in that situation in terms of the tasks that were assigned? What did you do? And then R, which is the last one, result. What were the results? Because basically this question also asks you to give examples of your own leadership and influence skills to support your own answer. So you will have 2 specific examples, throw in numbers and statistics if you have them, show impact in this, because what Chevening is trying to understand here is your leadership skills and qualities. And I think the most important thing to note is that your essays, I said they ask 4 main questions. The essays are your one and only chance to give an impression to whoever will be reading your essays in the Chevening front. So you have to do your best, and in writing your essays, you have to be very precise, because the person on the other side doesn't know you, they don't know Lesotho, and they might not even be able to make sense of what you're saying. So you need to be very precise and comprehensive in what you will be writing. Then the second question that you'll be required, your essay will be on networking. Chevening is very particular on networking and the importance of networking in building relationships, and also in terms of professionally as well. So you'll be required to answer a question on networking, and where you'll be asked to show how you have used networking in the past and how you intend to network while in the UK, and also how you intend to use your networks post your study. So it's very important for you to show all those 3 stages. 1, how you have used networking in the past to build relationships and sustain those relationships. 2, how you will use networking opportunities during your time in the UK and following your studies when you come back to your own country. How will you use those networks that you have created during your studies? Then moving on to the 3rd question will be on your course, of choice, and the why the UK question. This, I know this is a very tricky question. Some people undermine it because, I mean, we all want to study in the UK. Why not? But it's a very important question, because this is where you need to show how studying in the UK will add value, not just to you as an individual, but to your country as well, and your work environment and everything around you. So you need to be very precise even in this case and show the impact that studying in the UK will have on you and your country. And then your course, I think the most important thing to highlight on this point is this is where you need to show the connection, coherence, from what you studied for your undergraduate, your work experience, and now the course that you intend to study. There must be a connection. You can't have studied business management and now want to go and study masters in public health. There must be a coherence, because remember we said Chevening is looking for leaders in what they are doing and people who will come back to their countries now to help in whatever fields they are in. So you need to show a connection in your essay writing, that you have a vision. That's the word I was looking for. You need to show that you have a vision and that you are already on the path towards achieving that vision. So in this instance, you will have to show that relationship between your previous course, your work experience, and your future plans. There must be coherence in those things. So you will also have to highlight very precisely also how then studying this course in the UK will have impact on you, your work experience, and your future plans. And also, one other thing that we need to take note of is there's a lot of courses that are offered in the UK. So your choice should be exactly what you're looking for, and make sure that it is something that you wouldn't just get here at home. So you going to study in the UK, and your course choice should reflect that this is what you will only get when you go to as far as the UK. And then the next question will be, which is the last, on your career plan, where you have to indicate what your immediate plans are post studying your master's degree in the UK, and how your plan, you also have to show how your plan will relate to maybe what the UK is doing in your country, and how it also relates to what you yourself studied in the UK, and how then it will benefit the country in the short and long term. This is where you also have to play around with numbers, because you're trying to show the impact of what you'll be doing, of your career plan. So if there will be beneficiaries in what you'll be doing after you come back from the UK, you need to show who the beneficiaries will be. And if you have an idea of the numbers or statistics, you have to include them in this question, because that's also where Chevening wants to see whether you have clarity of what you want to do post studying in the UK. I think I also have to cover on the essays. That is basically what you need to do. You have 500 words for each essay, just 500 words for each essay. So on the leadership question, for example, you'll be requested to write an essay of 500 words, which is very little if you think about it, but it's also too much if you have your writing skills in order. So in those 500 words, you will have had to fit everything. Those examples that I talked about, you will also have to write very precisely. One other thing that you need to consider when writing your essays is not being too technical. Especially say when you're writing about your career plan or your course choice. You will have to write in such a manner that whoever will be reading your essay on the other end can be able to comprehend what you're reading without having to go and look at a dictionary and look for a certain word. Or you must write an essay that's relatable, even if you're talking about your specific course and the technicalities, but write in a language that is understandable, so that whoever is reading from the other side can easily understand what you're trying to say and be able to make sense out of it. Which is why you need to be very precise also. Don't beat around the bush, because you only have 500 words. And because your essays are your form of interaction to Chevening personnel on the other side, you have to communicate in such a manner that your vision will be displayed in your essays. When you write, because basically this is your only form of impression that you will have when you have not been selected before the interview stage. So it's very important that you write in a very comprehensive and precise manner. Don't throw in vague statements. Include statements that have impact and show examples, like I said earlier, and be specific in the things that you want to include in your application. I think having covered the 4 questions that you will be requested to us to answer in your Chevening application, the other thing that you will also have to do in your application process is upload documents from your educational qualifications. You have to upload those, your certificates, transcript of all your previous qualifications. And then if you have applied, I think we also need to note this. By the time, I said earlier that when you apply, you will need to have identified your 3 courses and 3 universities, which you will have to put in order on your application. But in the case that you have not applied to those schools, you will need to start that process as well. And let me indicate that it is your responsibility as an applicant to apply to your own schools and follow up until a point when you have what Pinky called an unconditional offer. So Chevening will not find a school for you. They will not find a course for you. and they will never call the school to say, so and so has applied for Chevening, how far is their application? So your responsibility as the applicant is to identify your own courses and schools. In fact, Chevening even has a list of schools that it partners with, but you can also apply to other schools that are not Chevening partners. So once you have identified your courses and everything, if you already have your offer from your university of choice, you can upload it at this stage. But if you don't have an offer, you can still upload it at a later stage. But your documents that you will need to are your passport, your qualifications, all of them, transcripts and certificates. And then you will also, if you have an English test already, you'll be required to upload it, but you can upload it at a later stage also. And then your references also, if you will be required to upload them at a later stage. But the basic ones at the application stage are your qualifications and your identification documents. You will be requested to upload those. And once you've done that and you are satisfied with the quality of the essays that you have written, and I emphasize quality because they must be really well written, then you can apply, and there'll be communication from Chevening now and then on the updates of your application process until you go to the next stage. Having talked about that, I think I want to talk about applying for schools. And I've already mentioned that you will need to independently apply for your own school. And some schools may want you to pay an application fee, which is non-refundable. And even Chevening does not cover that. So you will need to identify your schools and courses and carefully study what you want and make your choice, then apply. So the most important thing when applying for your school is in terms of the English requirement. Some schools have specific English certificates that they take, and they don't take the other ones. So always check with the schools what English requirements they have, so that when you decide to go and write your English test, you know it's one that your school will take. But I think Chevening takes all of them, right, Pinky? From IELTS to TOEFL and all the others. But some schools are very specific on which ones they require. So make sure that you are aware of what English requirements your school has. Then you also have to check the course requirements. I mean, everything relating to the course is your own responsibility as the applicant. And you also have to make sure that when you're choosing your course, Chevening has a cap, fee cap. For other master's degree, they are not, I don't think we have anything about above 15,000. But for MBA, they cover 18,000 British pounds. That's the cap. So if your MBA costs more than 18,000 British pounds, you will have to top up whatever is excess. But for all the other courses, most of them range around 12,000 to 15,000. Chevening covers all of that. And so you will have to be aware of how much the fees are, the English requirements, the requirements of your course, and all the other requirements that you would need to follow as an applicant at any school. I think I've pretty much covered the basics of the application process and applying for schools. And I don't know if at this point there are any new questions that we have, but I know a lot of people have asked, so what does the scholarship cover? So that you prepare yourself. It covers everything. Everything it covers your return flights to and from the UK, that's it. And then they cover full tuition fees, except if you're doing an MBA, which I said the cap is 18,000 British pounds. Then they also cover the costs of living during your time of study. They also cover all the costs of your cost of living, which is through a monthly stipend that you get every month to cover the cost of living and all the other things that you will need to do while you're in the UK. So basically it means everything towards your study will be covered for you going and you coming back. There's another requirement that I just remembered that we didn't talk about. is you'll also be required to have a TB certificate for a TB test. So you will have to do that, and the cost of that is covered by you in the beginning, but it's refunded to you at a later stage when you're already in the UK. But you also need to get that in order before you leave. Once you
I think,
get
just to add on that, Jemina, so that viewers don't get confused, I think the TB test is really at the later stage once you are selected. I think it's a requirement needed just before you leave home. So they shouldn't worry, because once you are selected, I'm sure anyone could use their money because they refund it, like you're saying, at a later stage. So I don't think this one should be an issue, because I think there's another question that I saw that is asking about the SAQA. I don't know the pronunciation, but I know that's a qualification or evaluation that is called SAQA is usually the one needed in South Africa, because I've studied in South Africa before. No, Chevening does not require a SAQA certificate, Jemina. It does not require it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I know with me, I have it because I studied in South Africa before going to the UK. But Jemina studied only in Lesotho. She did her BSc at the National University of Lesotho, and she was able to qualify with her Lesotho qualifications. So it does not require a SAQA certificate. And I think another question that just popped up, we should attempt it. Do I apply for admissions first or the scholarship? So my advice to people is usually apply for the scholarship first, because the scholarship is only open for 2 months, especially this year. I think because of the COVID situation, it won't be open for a longer time like they usually do. It opens from the 3rd of September and closes on the 3rd of November. So it's usually only just 2 months. So my advice to anyone who will be applying for the first time, apply to the scholarship first, but identify the 3 universities, because you will be required to list them and the courses in the scholarship. But for people who are applying again, because they now know the process, usually they would have applied for universities. And some people, like I have noted from the comments, other people already have offers. So those ones are sorted. You just have to focus on the scholarship because you already have a UK offer. So you'll just list those universities. So that is my advice to people on where to start. But just to add on what Jemina said, the scholarship is fully funded. Fully funded. So I think if there's not anything else, there's a question here. No, not a question. There's general tips. That is the last thing on our agenda. I think we're gonna, let me check the question that I had from someone on Facebook before we get to the general non-academic stuff. Also, maybe just to note something that maybe none of us noted. Because Chevening is a 1-year scholarship, because the UK offers 1-year master scholarship. And I know in other countries, a master's is usually two years. I know in South Africa it's 2 years, in Lesotho, in the US. But because it's a 1-year master's, it's very hectic. It's very, what's the word?
hectic. Time is 100 and 100 and 100.
Not to scare you or anything. It's very hectic. 1-year masters with a mini dissertation. So you really need to be someone that is academically strong or who is willing to work hard. Because I think even in their selection criteria, they do say that they usually offer the scholarship to people who have a 2-1. If you studied in NAL, you'll know a 2-1, you'll know 2-2, you'll know pass, you'll know a 1. So they usually say you should have a 2-1 and higher. But this is not to discourage anyone who did not receive a 2-1, because there are always exceptional cases where someone probably did not get a 2-1, they have a 2-2. I would say still go ahead and apply, because usually what happens is that they also check everything related to your academics. It will be the years of experience that you have. I know there are people who probably at now did not get those high marks, but because of the added advantage that they have worked for a longer time, they usually get selected, because Chevening is a scholarship that actually takes into consideration everything, including your work experience, including your career journey, all the other things that you are doing. They really consider them for you to be selected. So do not despair if you don't have a 2-1. I would still encourage you to go ahead and apply.
I have two questions. If you're still looking on your site, that then I can just read out and answer. Okay. One of the questions I received was, if you have not been in school for more than 2 years, do you pick your academic references or your professional references? I mean, usually they would encourage that you have an academic reference and your professional reference. But there is no harm in putting in your two professional experience references instead of including an academic one. And the reason being, in the references, they would need to show your recent work and the achievements that you have had. And I want to imagine if you go and ask your lecturer from 7 years ago when you graduated in 2013, they might not even remember you. So their reference, they will write a reference letter for you, but would it be relevant for your application to show that you are a strong candidate right now for what you are applying for? So the best thing is for you to assess whether whoever you're choosing, whether even professional or academic, are they in a position to write a relevant reference for you that will help strengthen your application? That is what I think is very important. So you choosing your academic or professional is really up to you, as long as you have done that assessment of your referees. So the other question is, where are the interviews held and where do you take the English test? I'll start with the first one. Chevening interviews are held in the country. Usually they make preparations and you'll be informed of when and where you will go for your interview. As for the English test, unfortunately, in the country, we do not have any facilities for any of the English tests that we take. So you will have to go to South Africa for the English tests. And the other unfortunate thing is you cannot write the English test online, as it has a lot of components which include speaking, writing, reading. So you will have to go to SA to do the tests, and then you will get your results later on. Yes, that's it.
Okay. There's another question that popped up about, fourth year. I'm going to attempt it. But just to add to what you said on the English test, I think I should stress the issue of the English test. I will say this, and I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The English test cost money. And the last time I wrote mine, it cost about 3.4. And I wrote PTE. I know of 3 tests that are written in South Africa: PTE, TOEFL, and IELTS. They usually cost between 3,000 and 3.6 if the price hasn't increased. And some people say to me, but now I've applied for the scholarship, I'm waiting for them to shortlist me. The school wants a TOEFL, but how can I write an English test when I don't really know I'm going to get the scholarship? And I usually say this, I don't even sugarcoat it. Chevening is a very prestigious, expensive scholarship. If I bring it into rands from British pounds, it costs it's 500,000, just to give you an overall. It's a very expensive scholarship, costs around 500,000. And if anyone is willing to invest 500,000 in you, but you are not willing to take out your 3.2, I understand some people are unemployed, but I think for a whole year, if you are planning to apply for a scholarship, you may need to make plans to save for that English test, because it's nothing compared to what you are getting with Chevening. So I always say to people, imagine you don't write the English test. What if you get selected? And then you regret at a later stage that you did not write the English test. I've had about 3 people now, consecutive years, who did not write the English test on time because they were saying, I'm waiting to see if I'm shortlisted for the interview because I feel like I don't have that money to spare. And then I'm like, and then they select you. You don't have the English requirements. That will be really sad for you. And it becomes sad. About 3 Basotho were not selected because they had not written the English test on time. They thought it was expensive. So really, the investment you get on Chevening is nothing compared to that money for the English language test. So let me attempt this question here that talks about, I'm in 4th year, completing next year. If the intake is next September and I will have completed my degree, would I be eligible? I think I'm going to answer it in a simple way. You are still in 4th year. I don't know if you have worked before. When I started, I said one of the eligibility requirements, non-compromised ones, is that you have 2 years of work experience. So when you don't have that 2 years work experience, no, you are not eligible for Chevening. You will wait a bit and work those 2 years, and then you can apply for Chevening. And then someone is asking, when does the academic year resume in the UK? Is it January to December? So no, it's not January to December. If you studied in NUL, it runs the same way as an academic year of NUL. It runs from August to
the next year.
So what usually happens is that universities vary, but the academic year runs from August to the following year around June, depending on when you finish your dissertation. So it has to be a full year. So I'll make an example with myself. Other universities will open at end of August, others in September. The latest ones will be early October. My university opened on the 3rd of October, and I finished the following year on the 2nd of October. So you can see that's like a full year. But in terms of academics, coursework will run from either September to December, and then January to around April. That's the second semester. And then in their summer, which is usually in our time, winter, it will be time for your dissertation. June, July, August is your time to write your dissertation and submit. Then you will come back to your home country. I think I've answered it.
Okay.
I think we talked about everything: academics, application process, and if there are no more questions coming in, we'll just wait another 10 minutes and just talk about generally about the other non-academic things that you get from Chevening. Chevening is a community of professionals. So when you go for the UK, it's not just the part of academics that you are going to benefit a scholarship and then get your master's degree. Chevening usually encourages networking, because as young people, we know that this is the new way of life to network. So they organize a lot of activities. They organize sporting, recreational activities, academic ones as well, and rotating throughout different cities in the UK, so that all Chevening scholars they meet others, so that they network, they make friendships, they make lifetime networks. So when I was reading on their website, usually I just go to the website and check people who are alumni, because they usually share stories of where other alumni are. I saw that they are saying currently about 17 Chevening alumni have become heads of government or heads of state following the award. So this is really a prestigious scholarship, and we expect great things for people who get the scholarship. And I think when we were in the UK with Jemina, the current president of Costa Rica was one of the alumni. And I think in our region, I could talk about the ex-minister of Botswana, the Minister of Trade, was a Chevening scholar as well in Botswana. She's alumni now. And in our country, if I can mention notable alumni, is that I have 3 in my head. Jemina will say, just for you to get a feel of people who've gotten the scholarship. I know about a lady called Ausintiwa Skiti. She's now working for the Pan-African Parliament. She was a Chevening alumni. I remember what year she was. There's a lady called Muleka Like. She's also working for the AU in Addis Ababa. And we also have the human rights lawyer in Lesotho called Dineo Tsikwane. She's also one of the notable alumni of the scholarship. And now you can see Jemina. She's also a notable alumni. She's a manager somewhere in one of the mines.
I received that management letter.
So I think the other benefits really about this that are, we can say, are non-academic benefits of studying. UK is home to some of the best universities. We are not even going to sugarcoat this. There are so many best universities that are ranked very high in the world. They are home to the UK. So it means you have a variety of choice to choose from this. And UK is very diverse in culture. And this is one of the things I also enjoyed in my journey. I don't know what Jemina can say about this. Their cuisine is really good. They have great outdoors, especially during the summer. And they are the literature, there are a lot of authors that we know, like your Harry Potters and the likes of Shakespeare. We would usually visit those museums and so many other places, especially where the films that we really watch on TV are shot in the UK. So you can really immerse yourself in the lifestyle when you are in the UK. And I, for one, traveled a lot inside the UK and in Europe, because I think there will be breaks in between. And if you are someone that likes traveling like me, you will get an opportunity to also travel. Just to note another thing, they do allow you 30 days outside the UK during your 1-year study. So those are the 30 days that I could say you're allowed to be outside the UK, whether traveling or attending to other family businesses. But obviously you will have to cover that with your own money. Maybe you save from the stipend that you get every other month, because like we said, they only cover one-way fare to the UK when you start your course, and then they cover a return flight back home. So Jemina, you can add anything else.
Okay. Here's what I always say. Chevening gives you an opportunity to go and see the world from a different angle, from a different view. And I'll go back to choosing your course and your university. You really have a choice to dream big. You already dream big because you're considering studying in the UK. But I mean, you have a choice to select a course that you couldn't find here at home. So imagine how big the opportunity is. And also that, like Pinky said, UK has some of the best universities and courses. So if you really, really, really want this, you will have to get it right and go and be part of that. And one of my biggest tips that I always have to give people is you must really be truthful in your application. I know it sounds cliche, even Pink agree, it sounds cliche to say, be original when you write your application, be yourself, because you cannot hide who you are, or you cannot portray in your writing that you're something that you're not, because somehow, somewhere, there will be a disconnection. So when you write your essays, your application, everything that you prepare for, be original. And I mean, be your true self. Show your passion. You have an opportunity to show who you are, your passion in your application. So do that. Don't try and be something that you're not, or in the name of trying to impress your Chevening personnel. Just be original, and your originality will reward you. They will get that from your application. So there must always be a connection in the things that you're saying. If in your leadership you talked about something, it might not reflect in the same way it did in your leadership, but in your career plan, something around that will show up. So there must be a connection in your application. And I know people miss it and want to be ambitious and write a lot of things. No, just be original and precise. That is my application, my biggest tip for people who are writing their applications and people who are considering to apply as soon as the applications open on the 3rd of September. And generally, it will do good to you to apply. And if you get the scholarship, it will be the best time of your life. That 1 year that I spent in the UK, I tell everybody, it was the best year of my life. Not only in terms of my academics, I got to get lectured by some of the best lecturers in the field, with experience from all over the world, and I got so much from them. But not just that, even as an individual personally, you get to grow because you get to get outside of your comfort zone and be elsewhere where nobody knows you, where you don't know anything, and you are free to say, I don't know, because you are in a space where you don't know, and you are in a space where you can learn just about anything that you want to learn. So it's really a good experience. It's a good time for you to develop you develop in all aspects that you can think of mentally, because I mean, you're away from home. You're away from home for 1 year. You get depressed now and then. That's what we used to say, but I discovered we were not depressed. We're just missing home. But I mean, then you get to be mentally strong. Being away from home for that 1 year prepares you for something that you wouldn't have been able to experience where you're home all your life. So it's really an opportunity to grow in all aspects. Like I said, you grow academically, professionally, you get to build networks that you can use even after you return from the UK. I'm sure Pinky has networks that she's referring to right now that If she wants to ask somebody in Nigeria, she just drops a question. Bangladesh, she just drops a question with her contacts everywhere. And then mentally as well, you also get to connect. And also that, what I always say is, because Chevening says it's looking for leaders who will come back to Lesotho and then implement whatever it is that they learned outside this country. It's also an opportunity for us to go and see what other nations are doing to improve their countries, to develop their countries, so that at least when we come back, we also have a bigger vision than what we already have, because we all have a vision for this country. So going out and exploring and seeing what other countries are doing, you come back and you want better things for our country, which is what we all want, which is why they also say you must come back home after your studies for at least 2 years before you decide to maybe go back to the UK if you loved it really much, or go anywhere else. Because it's really important that when you've acquired all this knowledge, when you've acquired all this experience, then you can come and help your country, let us also develop and be up there where other people now will want to say, I want to go back to Lesotho. I also want to go to Lesotho and see 1, 2, 3 and learn a few things. So it's really a great opportunity. If you want to apply, give your all to the application. I will not lie, it's a tedious process. At some point when I was applying, I wanted to quit, and I was like, is this even worth it? Because it is such a long process that requires you to be patient and be fully committed to it. And I think the whole process until you finally have your Chevening offer letter in your hand is a year, close to a year. Because if they open in September this year, you'll probably go to school September next year. So the whole process is 1 year, and it requires patience and commitment, which says you must really be wanting this. And if this is what you want, you have to put the work into it, and you will get it. I see that we are almost out of time. So I think basically that's all I wanted to share with everybody. We will still welcome any other questions. If people have questions, then we'll answer on different platforms as they've been asking. And from me, this is all.
I think let me attempt the last 2 questions. There's someone who had said they already have an offer from the UK. They have applied for the scholarship and without success. And then they are asking, how do they get the scholarship? Just to say, Chevening is very competitive, like we've said. And make sure that from everything that you've learned from this video and any other material that you checked out about Chevening, you make a strong application, like Jemina has said, from your 4 essays, from the university choices, from your career choice. Everything must link to what you are saying you are going to do when you come back. How is that relevant to Lesotho and you giving back, not just about yourself? So there's nothing else that I can say other than this, because like we explained everything. Just make a strong application and be patient and work hard. I wouldn't know for sure why you were not selected, but like in everything in life, you may not get selected at the first instance. I think I was just fortunate, Jemina was fortunate, we were selected at the first instance when we applied, but we met people in the UK and the universities where we are attending, and they were telling us they had to apply for Chevening twice or 3 times even. Because when you really want something, you do not give up on it. You don't have to apply once. It's like applying for a job. You will either get it or not get it. I think it's a similar analogy that I'll make with Chevening. Sometimes you won't get it the first time. Sometimes you will get it the second time after you have learned the mistakes that you made. So do not give up if you want this. And just to note, I'm remembering that the English test is valid for 2 years. So meaning if you wrote the English test and you had applied and you did not get the scholarship, the English test is valid. You can apply the following year. Yeah. So the last one I see on the chat is talking about, are you available for reviewing applications once I'm done? If yes, material fee. Because I'm working full time, I will be honest. I don't review essays. I don't review applications. Honestly, this takes a lot of time. So I'm not gonna say I review them, and that is just me being honest. I don't review essays, no. Otherwise, like Jemina said, we are really available on our official Facebook pages. You can inbox me if you have further questions. Jemina Khosi, Kipinki, Manomokwena. on Facebook, and then I'm also available on Twitter as P Manong. Jemina, what's your Twitter handle? I'm also available on Instagram as P Manong as well.
Jemina Hosi everywhere.
Okay, Jemina Hosi everywhere, and then thank you so much, guys, for this. I think we covered everything that we wanted to cover. Thank you for listening. Share with everyone who may need the scholarship. This is really a great opportunity. We wouldn't want it to pass you by, especially as Basotho. We are a really small country, so we really encourage everyone to keep sharing this so that other people can know about this opportunity. Thank you for your time, and this will be all from us. And just to say, please do not give up on whatever dream that you may have, being it studying abroad, being it gaining opportunities elsewhere. I'm someone who's really passionate about sharing my journey with people and also sharing about all the good things I have gotten so that other people may benefit. So thank you so much for joining us. Ciao for now. Thank you to Sidibe for hosting us.
Hi guys.